Good morning, Lloyd. This is question 9, so we're really rocking and rolling now.
We are, mate. How's things your end? All right, all safe?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah, everybody's being sensible. We're not, we've not got all the neighbours charging round to kiss and cuddle us yet, so everything's all right. But it's really strange, isn't it? Because we had our grandchildren. We saw our grandchildren on Monday, and to have to keep distancing still, it's very frustrating for them and us.
Very tough. Very tough. Hopefully, hopefully not for much longer. Let's wait and see.
No, absolutely right. Okay, right. Let's start off with a couple of questions, and then we'll go into reviews of the games. We finished up on the Welling away cup game, which, well, as a spectator, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I know as a manager, you had plenty of input from that, and that was good news. So, right, where do we start? I'll tell you what. I think I'm going to go for our old mate Jeffrey, because he's coming with a comment here that you're going to like, and it may well sow a seed for the future as well. Hello, folks. In the past, we've had some very good Meet the Managers evenings down at the Belmont, but this series of conversations between yourselves is giving Lloyd far more time and opportunity to be more detailed on what he says about the people and the grounds and the situation the club is involved with. I think it is an exercise that would be well worth continuing with, say, once a month when we're eventually back to playing games. It seems to me that WTFC are making more effort than many other outfits are to keep in touch with the supporters, keeping us informed and at the same time entertained. Well done indeed, Jeffrey.
No, very nice.
On the back for you, Lloyd, which is brilliant.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's really good. And his idea about perhaps doing it once a month is not such a bad idea, is it?
No, I totally agree. I was down the ground again on Saturday, and I was speaking to Fran, the secretary, and we had the same discussion that, you know, if 20 minutes, half an hour out of our time on a weekend, whether it's, you know, couple of times a month, once a month, whatever it will be, just to, you know, I'm sure there'll be news going throughout the season that not necessarily is, you know, on-field details. It's maybe off-field details as well that we can probably keep everyone afloat with. So, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, and was something that was already been discussed that we can probably continue with things. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Great idea. Right, first question, proper question. I'm not saying that Jeffrey's wasn't a proper comment. It was nice. Julian Wilkes, tell Lloyd well done. There you go, another one compliment.
Good.
Is Mark Lane your number 2 as well as the goalkeeping coach? And is there any reason why we don't have a backup goalkeeper on the bench at every game?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Laney's my number 2. When I joined the club, well, firstly, I'd worked with Laney before, previously at Hythe. Not only that, the funny coincidence is that Laney was the manager at the time who brought me in as a player to Whitstable many moons ago. So yeah, me and Laney we have got a really good relationship, and obviously once working with Laney as a coach previously, and then obviously when I took the job, I wanted Laney to stay, and he was more than happy to. So it was, it was a match made in heaven, really. We worked together before. We know each other very, very well. Our relationship's really good. So it was not. And he is obviously a goalkeeper coach, which at the level we're at, sometimes finding goalkeeper coaches is quite tough, and it is quite difficult. And to have Laney in with his expertise and experience as not only a goalkeeper and the quality of a coach he is, he has a great relationship with Dan Eason, which is even better. You know, like a goalkeepers union, which is good. But also he's not just a goalkeeper coach. He's able to see the game, hence why he was a manager previously. He's able to see the game as a whole and the outfield side of things, as well as just from the goalkeeping perspective. So, yeah, really valuable member to have, and I'm very, very lucky to have him. His experience and expertise, he kind of, keeps me grounded, which is great. Yeah, and our relationship is really, really good. for the second point, the goalkeeper side, it's difficult. And in an ideal world, I would love to have a number 2 goalkeeper all the time. The long-term issue that you have with having a goalkeeper on the bench is that the reality is that a goalkeeper is probably not going to be on the bench. He's not going to be used an awful lot. Therefore, you're in a position where that player on the bench is going to find himself, frustrated after a period of time, and then wants to play. So, whether he's dropping down levels or whether or not you're dual registration, which I know we've touched upon before.
Yeah.
So, having a player that's available all the time for a long period of time as well is really, really challenging. And I know we're not the only club that have that issue. So you're weighing it up against risk and reward. The frequency of having a goalkeeper that's going to be used, for example, Danison, touch wood, Danison doesn't get, but he never got injured at all last season, and he was available, I think, he was available for every single game. So you're possibly taking up a spot on the bench that could be used for other options, as well as weighing up against the fact that a goalkeeper is not going to necessarily be there available every week because of the reasons I've just given. So it's always a difficult one regarding a sub goalkeeper, that's for sure.
Very in detailed reply again, as ever. Actually, you're mentioning Mark Lane then, and talking about Mark, who I know and I was going to say know and love, but you know what I mean. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's good around the club.
Yeah, very blessed to have him, I tell you, because he's a really, really great guy.
Yeah, and touching on what you said earlier on about when you came to the club and Mark brought you there, were you with Mark when he won away down at Burgess Hill Town? Were you in the side then? And the reason I mention that is what you were saying about him being a good coach. Let me just put something to you. We'd always struggled going down to Burgess Hill. It's a funny place to go in the sense that, particularly if you go down there night time, well, you can't, because they've got a curfew on. They're playing night games, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right.
The local council. Yeah. And if it's an FA Cup game and it's late in the season or whatever it is, they can't go past, I think it's 7 o'clock at night or something weird. It's a real strange thing. Anyway, they're nice people down there. Nothing a problem there. Going back to Mark and Burgess Hill. I'd spoken to Mark before the game, and he said to me, "We're going to win this." I said, "Mark, what's the plan then? Why are you so confident?" And this is the telling bit. This is where it comes in if you're a coach and you know your players and you know the clubs. He said to me, they've got that big centre back, 6'3", 6'4", their captain. I said, yeah. He said, right, he wants to play football. So I said, yeah. He said, so what we do is we deny him the ball. And I tell you what, it worked a treat. Because what we did, instead of playing through the middle, anywhere near the middle, we didn't. We kept it on the wings all the time. And after about 15, 20 minutes, what did he do? He went out to the wing to try and win the ball. One side, then the other. And there was no one in the middle. Nobody in the middle that had the nous that he did. He was a good player. Captain of the side, very vocal, very, very vocal. And he ran everything. But when he wasn't in the right position, we stuffed him. I think we did him, I don't know, from memory 3-0 or something. But there you go. Backs up your point, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's I mean, there's lots of things that not only Laney, Steve, I'd like to think myself as well. We kind of chip in with things and ideas that we for a relevant game. That piece of tactical information. It's sort of unless like you said, unless it's discussed with you guys or the fans are aware of, they're the sort of decisions that you pick up and you make, and when they come off, they're as I said, they can be game-winning decisions for you. They're not necessarily broadcast out. Not everyone's aware of them, but they're probably the discussions that management have. These are a team's strengths. These are a team's weaknesses. And again, it's almost a game of chess. You're fighting against denying their best things and exploiting their weaknesses, as well as trying to stick to your game plan, so that the players, as we said before, don't get sort of our brain overloaded by changing things themselves. So it's a fine balance of weighing up, like I said before, risk and reward against changing your things to nullify a team's strengths, weaknesses. But it doesn't surprise me that Laney would come up with something like that. He does exactly the same with me. Little bits of information, little snippets of information that you just sort of, that stick on board, and he's able to rail as well, which is a really, really good trait as a coach and as a person. His communication with the players is of the highest level. So he's able to communicate things that the things that are in his mind regarding football. Some people have the problem of having every piece of information and then not being able to relay that to the players, and that's more important than actually seeing the problem in the first place. So Laney's got real good qualities at doing all of those.
Thank you very much again. No wonder Jeffrey enjoys your chats all the time. I enjoy it as well, because I learn. I mean, I've been to games that you've been talking about, and I now realise why you've done X, Y, Z. Because, your explanations. It's a real invaluable tool to me. I mean, at the age I am, I'm still learning about it. Hey, we're all done. We've all got to learn. Right, let's get back to games. Away to Chichester City, we drew 1-1. We left it pretty late, I think. Milbank got a goal, didn't he, right at the end? Your thoughts on the game?
Where are we now? We're up to about January time, aren't we? I think.
Yeah, we are.
We went down their air house, and it was. I think there was doubts whether or not the game was going to be on. The conditions weren't great. First half, we had a bit of a stinker, to be fair. They played really, really well, and I think it's important that we had, that they got things tactically spot on. The way that their ball retention, their movement, they caused us all sorts of problems. And probably, I've said before, one of the best sides that we played, especially in that 45-minute spell that we come across all season. The good thing, which I think is really, really important, is that when we came in at half-time 1-0 down, we'd sat there. We didn't sort of. I remember saying to the boys, right, take a breath, get your fluids in, have your energy drinks or whatever it is, and let's just have 30 seconds of yourself just to take a breath, to calm down, so that when we do discuss things for the next 5-10 minutes, we're not all ramped up and sort of too eager. And we problem solved, which was really, really good. And we said, look, we've got to make quick decisions here. We've got to make sure that, as I said, they don't have that sort of half again. Again, we touched upon how we felt that their fitness levels may not be able to keep that and sustain that level of intensity throughout the whole game. So that was one key point. I can't remember a specific tactical bits of the halftime team talk. That said that bit eludes me. But we certainly changed things that just made the game more of an even level kill for us. They did have a couple of opportunities. I think Brownie cleared a couple off the line.
He did twice.
But I remember us having 2 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. Connor Sanders had one, and then Marcus Elliott right at the death could have snatched it for us. But we were a lot better. I remember us being a lot more compact, to make sure that anything, said they weren't able to play sort of balls into third centrally, and then pop into a ball into the centre of the pitch to then suck us in, to then transfer over to the other side, which then causes problems because we're now out of shape. So we really made sure that we were clamping them over to one side of the pitch and then stopping them to be able to rotate and transfer over again. So little things that we'd changed around. I remember that being one in key. And then second half, we kind of pushed on. And as I said before, our fitness levels were really, really good and high. And we were able to, the later the game went on, the more we came into it, the more we come into the game. And 1-1 was a good effort, great effort by us, to be honest. We got ourselves back into it. And then, as I said, really, maybe should have nicked the winner at the end with the two, but I think a draw was probably a fair result, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think that sums it up just about right for me as well, because I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game, even though at half time, as you say, we were 1-0 down. They did play some good football, but then we upped our game, which is what it's all about. Absolutely. Then the next game of that, we were at home to East Grinstead Town. Now that ended up a really good game for us. We won that 3-1. You
Yeah.
must have been cock a hoop after that.
Yeah, we went 1-0 down, didn't we? We didn't start
did.
off so
Yeah.
bright. We didn't start
Yeah.
off so brightly. I think after, I think they went 1-0 up. It was a change of manager up a few weeks before.
Yeah.
They changed their personnel. So my scout Daniel had been out to watch a game, or been out to watch them, and then they change of manager had kind of thrown everything up in the air, as it were, regarding what we were expecting. Did we nick? I think we nicked one just before half time. I think TJ got one.
Minute. We went in 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So TJ got it back to 1-0, and then second half, we really did turn it on. I can't remember then, to be honest. I think we missed 3 or 4 good opportunities, and 3-1 was probably the least we deserved. I don't even remember them second half getting into our half. We really did turn the screw on them, and 3-1 was probably the least we deserved, to be perfectly honest. And we I think that goal at half time would probably take the stuffing out of them, to be perfectly honest. I remember Marshall's goal at the end. That was a great finish, a great team move. And 3-1 was probably
Milbank got the second for us penalty. So and then
that's right.
Marshall came on.
Yeah,
And,
I think Harry got hacked down. I think we counter-attacked on them quite well.
He did.
And Harry got chopped down. I think we were 3-on-1 and probably would have scored. So their defender made a last-ditch tackle, we stuck the penalty. And then Marshall's goal sort of was the icing on the cake for it. And to be honest, as I said, we probably should have or could have and should have scored more.
Yeah, well, it's good, very good. Right, back to questions. That's good. Good start. We've got another 2 games to go. Away to Three Bridges, and then at home to Burgess Hill Town, who we were talking about earlier on. So here we go. Which one? What are we going to do with that? All right, okay. This goes back to, in fact, the earlier question about Mark Lane, because this is from Robert. I suppose it's Bob Townsend. Which manager did you play under in your time at Whitstable? And you said in one of the videos that you learned something from all of the managers you played for. What did you learn in terms of managing whilst you were at Whitstable as a player?
Oh, as a player, right? Okay. I think.
So first, it's 2 questions. First, which manager or managers did you play under? And then he's asking, what did you learn while you were there? Yeah.
Okay. So management. I mean, there's. Without trying to name drop, there's some really top class managers that I've worked with. I remember Steve Coppell was certainly one. He had a real eye for detail that was just, it was incredible, really. He was one. I was fortunate enough to be coached with him as a youth player when I was at Crystal Palace as well. And then obviously when I went to Brentford, he took over the job there, and his eye for detail was superb. One of the ones that was really interesting was my manager previously when I was a player at Margate. His name was Mark Butler. Now Butts was a great manager, He really surprising that he's not still involved. I think he moved over to Carl Shorten, and I went with him for a period of time, actually just before I came to Whitstable. But yeah, again, he's detailed, but I think it was the way that he communicated with people. He was able to recruit the right players as well, which was really impressive. And we played probably some of the better football that I've seen at this level, to be perfectly honest. We did play really well, with really good sides, or he was able to manufacture a really good side. So yeah, there's lots of little snippets that you take from everyone. I don't think they're necessarily things that, they're not things that necessarily come to mind, trying to think about them. I just think they're things that subconsciously you take on board, and then subconscious things that you don't like, that you don't do. So I try and be as calm as I can, but that one went out the window. I'm certainly better at it. Certainly better at it than I used to be. But I do think that's being that's the benefit of having sort of or more senior people around me, i.e. Steve, and it was Paul Murray before, and then obviously Laney. Laney being one, and Steve himself. They're quite mellow characters. They're a lot more chilled, so they're able to sort of reel me in, if it were, and just stop me from sort of going over the top. Although I do have my moments of mine. So, but yeah, I think that would certainly be the one, as manager at Whitstable, the one thing that I would look to try and improve on, or if I'm not, just trying to be a little bit more, not to get so hecked up on the game. That's it's important. Sometimes the more you speak, or the louder you shout, the less you're heard. And I don't like, I think there's a time and a place for that, but generally, I think we're improving, but we're doing okay.
Good. Doing okay is a good one. Okay, back to our assessment of the games then. As I said, the away to Three Bridges, that was a great game for us. We won 3-1.
Yeah, that was really, really good one. We'd 3-1, wasn't it? And I think they had a couple of opportunities fairly early. John Ifua, well, not that they were on the front foot, far from it. I think it was quite an even game, balanced game for a period of time, up until John Ifua got his first goal. And that was a great goal. That was a great goal. Stepped inside, dropped his shoulder, very similar to the effort against Guernsey a few weeks before, where he danced inside with his left foot and hit one. And this time he found the top corner, which was a great strike. So he was able to do it. And then I think we lost Connor Sanders. That was the time Connor had fell on his awkwardly making a last-ditch tackle, and he dislocated his collarbone, I think it was, or broke his collarbone or shoulder. I can't remember exactly. Collarbone, I think. And the week before, we were able to acquire Ollie Rowe. So, typically, sod's law for Connor Sanders. He was getting himself a nice, good run in the team and was doing well for us. And sadly, he had. He's then picked up quite a long-term injury, but fortunately for us as a club, we were able to acquire Ollie Rowe, and Ollie's a first-class centre-half that was one I just couldn't turn down once I knew was available to us. So Ollie then stepped straight into the shoes of Connor, and there was no better replacement, to be perfectly honest. But Connor was sore. I remember, Levy came in. Sadly, his healing hands didn't really help him that day. It was a real bad injury for Connor, a real tough one. But he was in an awful lot of pain, the lad, to be fair, but we managed to get in hospital anyway. And we then kicked on regarding the game. I think Milbank scored a great kick. We then got the third almost instantly. Gillian Milbank playing a little 1-2 on the edge of the box, and I think we touched upon it before, Tony, when we spoke about when we played Faversham away. All of a sudden, confidence kicks in, and the players are then able to sort of express themselves in probably ways that, especially as a young player, when you are confident, things come a lot more naturally to you. And there was a clip of the game. I know we've got it on I think it was on our VO analysis system. There was a time we played 5 or 6 passes in one, and I'll have to dig out the footage. But it all started from Dan Easton. So we're 3-0 up. The ball's rolled out to Mackenzie at the right back. We've popped a ball into the centre midfield, back to a striker. He spun it in for John, one cross into ball, and Marshall missed a good opportunity. And within 6 passes, we'd carved them apart. And you sort of go, right, great, that's exactly what we as a side we want to try and get out. And to be honest, as I said, that's what confidence can do to you. And a 3-1, I think it finished up in the end. As I said, we were well worth the victory.
Could you please just update everybody on Connor's condition now, as of today?
As far as I know, or where I'm up to now regarding, so me and Connor will drop a text message every now and then, but the last conversation that we did have was that he was going to be going in to have, they wanted to see how the mechanics of the shoulder and the collarbone, how they settled down, and they were hoping that with time and rest, it would heal itself. Sadly, it didn't, and they felt that they needed an operation exactly the same time as the COVID stuff all kicked in, and therefore they kind of scrapped the operation. So where he is at the moment is waiting for possible surgery, although myself and Connor sort of speaking, well, maybe the extended period of rest may actually help out for him. So we're just kind of waiting and seeing until all this situation calms down, whether or not he will require surgery. But I think we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's not required. But we'll have to wait and see, sadly.
Yeah, it's such a disappointment for the lad, because, as you said, he had a good run of games. His confidence was growing. You could see that. He was demanding the ball more, and that to me that's always a sign. If it's that, give me the ball. Quite often they put their hands between their legs and sort of like asking for it. And when you see that from a player, he's got the confidence.
Yeah, we moved him back in. We were trying to find. We were aware that the guy's got a long throw as well, which is, as I said, we're all well aware that that's a valuable asset that we wanted to try and get in within the team. He'd had a period of sort of like little niggly injuries that kept, come out, he'd get into the side, he'll come out again, and then all of a sudden, the boys will play well. It was difficult for him to come back in. But I think we moved him to centre half. We moved him to centre half for 5 or 6 games previous to this. And the conversations that we had with him, it was like, he felt it was his better position, and it was like, right, okay, great. And then sadly, he was doing well there, and he picked up the injury. But he's a great lad to have around the changing room. He's a senior player that's, for what he lacks in technical ability, and Connor won't mind me saying that, far from it, he certainly makes up for in heart. He's an all-round nice guy, and as I said, sometimes he's even sacrificing himself for the team because of the lack of certain qualities, but he makes up for it in other ways because he's such a top lad.
Yeah, it's always disappointing when someone gets an injury like that, and it knocks their career back a little bit. The next game, we entertained Burgess Hill Town, who we topped on when I was talking about Mark earlier on at the Belmont. Another win. Now, this is where confidence comes from, isn't it? This is what you were saying. The previous 2 games, we'd won each of them 3-1, and all of a sudden, the boys are on a bit of a high.
Yeah, it's amazing what confidence does for you, and you do get on a run where sometimes they're easy to fall into. When you get a defeat, they're easy to fall into patches of continuous losing. But just as much, you get on a little crest of a wave, and you're able to just continuously. It seems to be that you continuously look to get results. That day, I don't think was necessarily our greatest performance, but again, we did everything that we needed to do to get the result. I think Stannard and Millbank got the second one, which was a carbon copy of his goal against the free kick against Three Bridges the week before. So you're talking about confidence. He did exactly the same as what he did before, and it was unstoppable. I think Harry Stannard hit one like a rocket man, and that one that flew into the corner as well. So that was a great one. I don't think it was our greatest performance. We were home again at the Belmont, so the pitch wasn't necessarily great. Again, I think it made things a difficult. It was a difficult game for us to be able to sort of play as much football as we would have wanted. But all credit to the boys. They were able to dig in and get the valuable 3 points, which is all, as we said before, it's all that matters really.
Certainly is. Thank you for that. And your comments about the pitch at the Belmont, I just want to throw this in as well. You'll be aware of this, but no one else will. They might have seen a snippet of news on the website. But I need to say, on behalf of the chairman and the club, a big thank you to all of the youth team coaches and indeed the youth team managers, because they've all played their part in securing funding for the club to get themselves some equipment for the ground. They've now got a brilliant tractor and some sort of tool. I don't know what it does, but it looks as if it drags behind the tractor or something. You probably know more about it than me. But it just goes to show you the way that Steve slowly, I mean, he's done a lot in his first year, but he's building up all of these little things that all add up to town. I mean, you've been down the club. I've not been able to get down there, but you have. And you've seen the difference down there. It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I said I was down there Saturday again, helping out with some paint work and getting the hands dirty down there, which was great. I saw John, the groundsman. He showed off the new tractor that we've got. It's able to Yeah, loads of different pieces of equipment that just, you know, fly over my head. I don't really
mine
know
as
the
well. Yeah,
work here. But again, full credit to what Steve and the other guys have done as well, and everyone really involved with the club to be able to get regarding the pitch and regarding the equipment that we've now attained and acquired. It's all now set to be able to produce a really, really good pitch for us. Sadly, as I said, it probably hasn't over the years, because not through anyone's fault, but probably just hasn't had the amount of detailed attention as it could have had, because we were limited in what we had available to us. And I think that's, you know, it's fair to say, you know, it's no one's fault in that part. But now we've got equipment there that Steve has been able to source through funding, through sponsors, through you know, generous donations from people, that we would like to now think that we're able to get a pitch in place and in order. New goals and new nets have been we purchased new goals and new nets, which is nice. They look state of the art, which is great for people coming into the ground. So really, the whole process itself, you know, full credit to Steve. It's now, even with a lick of paint around the place the other day, it's this is really, really smart and really clean, and with the pitch and the work, the groundsman had plans to make sure that all the divots, every single divot was going to be filled back in. We're going to have a layer of topsoil put over the top. So the club are going to, you know, we are investing the best we can do to make sure that we've got a nice playing surface. And from my point of view, you know, that attracts players. And if you're able to then and not only attract good players, but you're able to then implement the style, or I'm able to implement the style more of the way that I would like to play, because we've now got a surface that can match it. Whereas other times, sadly, we may have had to, as I said before, been a little bit more pragmatic with and been a little bit more sensible with the conditions that were presented to us, and maybe not always play exactly how we wanted to, more percentage stuff, as the old saying goes. But like you say, hopefully now we're everything in order, and hopefully over weeks and months we should have a surface that will benefit everyone, really.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well done. Perception on your part to see to the future and the way that they are doing it all it's brilliant. I'm so pleased for Steve. That it's very difficult for you, a chairman coming in, you know, because Steve's stepped up from junior football. And I know I've touched on this before, and I'm not disrespecting junior football in any way, shape, or form. But when these kids first start playing football, and I mean, I'm talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then all they're interested in is running around on the pitch, getting them, you know, energy, learning a bit about the game. But the results, to a greater degree, are secondary. Whereas now Steve's entered a situation where results are everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different mindset. And I know that at times during the year he's struggled a couple of times when we've walked away from the game, and he's actually turned to me and he said, "How did we lose that?" You know, and it's one of those situations where you think, well, maybe it was an individual mistake. Maybe it was the day that the opposition played out of their skins. You can't sort of plan for that. It just happens. No. And then on another day, you walk away and you think, wow, why are we playing at this level when we can play like that?
Yeah, Steve's been first class, and I don't really want to sort of, you know, the relationship that I've got with Steve is great, and we don't need to go around telling everyone how good our relationship is. We just sort of keep it. We keep it as it is. But the one good thing that really, first meeting I ever had with Steve, when we'd confirmed that, you know, I was going to be working, taking the job, he left his ego aside as the boss, as it were. He was open and honest to say that, look, this is my first time in this role. I'm going to need you more than you probably need me, and let's just make sure that everything we do is just, you know, upfront and you know, we will make mistakes. We're aware that this is the journey and the pathway of the philosophy of we want to move forward with. And that's how we do, and that's how it's gone. And if we have a dodgy, bad result, it's not as if I've got to sit there thinking, oh Christ, I've got to explain this to the chairman today. We're well aware of the process, and that's key. You know, it enables me as a manager just to be able to go and get on with my job. And if there's anything that I ever need, then Steve's always, you know, I don't have to worry or panic. You know, the new video analysis system, Steve, can we get it? Yep, right. Within 2 weeks, he'd sourced something and got it sorted. I think it was one time down there we missed it. The rain affected our training session, so we went out on the pitch for 20 minutes and did a very minimal amount, so we didn't destroy the pitch. And then he turned up and bought all the players pizzas for the next, all 25 players pizzas and it's those little things that you just kind of think, fair play. He's great person to work for, and as I said, I don't really want to keep blowing smoke up his backside, but as I said, he's approachable, he's great, and as I said, and the plans that are forward, again, I was discussing things with him, I'm sure he'll probably explain them when he has his little chat with you. But some of the plans going forward are really, really exciting, and just the pitch in particular is probably just a small, just the tip of the ice. Some of the stuff that's really going on behind the scenes is extremely exciting, and not just for the club, but probably for the whole community as well, which I think is just really, 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 great news.
That's really good. Just on chatting with Steve, yes, I am going to. I was going to say cross swords with him. I won't cross swords, and I won't ask him any questions that are going to embarrass him either. But yeah, I do want to have a chat with him on our social media platform. And to that end, don't forget, everybody, if you want to ask any questions for Lloyd or the chairman, just send them in. Push the like button underneath, because it does make a lot of difference. But send them in, please, because we're enjoying this, and I hope you lot are. It seems as if you are, because we're getting all the feedback. I think we'll just wrap up, and I'll tell you what, here we go. You're going to smile at this. Another question from Jeffrey.
Yes, here we go. Come on, Jeffrey. What you got for me now?
First of all, he's had a little bit of a dig at me, and I don't mind that. I don't mind, especially for Tony. Please, could you say, out of all the players' names, Whitstable and opponents, that you've had to announce over the tannoy, which one you've had the most difficulty pronouncing? Now I do struggle sometimes with them, but I'll tell you what, there's a couple there that I've managed to suss out, and it's to do with the Nigerian boys. And I learned, because I actually ended up going to Nigeria 2 or 3 times on business, and I learned that when their surname begins with the letter N, it's a silent letter. So at least I learned that. But I also have, on occasion, and I probably should do it more often, when I get one that I'm going to really struggle with, I go and either ask the manager, who in some cases doesn't know himself, because he said, oh, his name's Timmy. And I said, well, that's not what it says on the, oh, you better go and ask him. So I go and ask the player how it's pronounced. Now, funnily enough, I did that with John Ufa, when he came. And I said to John, how do you pronounce your name? And he said, it's Ufa. So that's it. Yeah. Some people say Ufa, some people say, but I asked John and he said it's John Ufa. It's as simple as that. But of course, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I should probably ask a bit more, but I know I do struggle. So
I'm terrible with names. You'll hear me. I'm terrible. You'll hear me shouting across the pitch, and it takes me. The ball's gone into Aaron Milbank, and I shout out Biz, Marshall, TJ. Before I've actually said the name Milbank, the ball's over the other end of the pitch, and it's completely pointless. So I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible. But as I said, after time, the boys just laugh.
They're all looking at you going, what, me?
Yeah, absolutely. Milbank's not got the ball anymore, and I'm still making my point to him, even though the ball's at the other end of the pitch. But that's, there you go. The boys just laugh at it.
The best one for doing that is Tom Bryant. When you call out Tom for something, he goes, what? What, me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and then so that's it from questions this week. We have got something planned slightly different, possibly for next week, but we'll keep our powder dry on that. But we may well put out a bit of a press release to let everybody know that something's amiss. Shall we do that?
Yeah, something a little bit different, eh? Hopefully we can get this. Well, we'll get it sorted by next week, which will be a nice one to watch for the people as well, and the players in particular. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Yeah, everyone connected with the club, players, supporters, everyone. I think they'll all enjoy it. It should be a bit of fun. Well, thanks again, Lloyd. You've been upfront and honest, which is all I can ask.
You're welcome, mate.
I always do. I'd like to say thank you to my son, who's doing all the background stuff for us, which is most important, which is good. Yeah, it's really good. He's been very helpful for us. And this thing going forward, which we're planning as well, he's given us a lot of advice and help on that. So thank you very much. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Right. So are you up next week? Oh yeah, we'll do the other thing. Yeah, it's going that way. I know which way it goes. Yeah. So push the like button, make a comment. Make a comment. That's the thing it's all about, and send us in the questions, because without your questions, we'd just be sitting here chewing the fat, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
It would be a bit boring. Yeah, definitely. So we just got to do what we've got to do. I'll finish up for that, Lloyd. Any much chance of you going back to work soon, or?
No. Do you know what, mate? I really don't know. The work said, the industry that I work in the leisure industry, or hospitality as well. I think we'll be looking at July time. But again, I read one thing that says positive, chance of going back, and the next thing on here that it's not. It could be a bit later. So no, fortunately, I'm furloughed and for the time being. So we'll wait and see.
Well, the only winner of that is us and our chat. So well done for that. Well done.
There's some
we'll wrap it
benefits
up
in that.
there, and we'll speak again soon, mate. Cheers, Lloyd. Thank you.
Cheers, Thanks, mate. Good luck.
Cheers, mate. Well done.